On today's show,
we discuss the breaking Anthony Davis trade rumors and whether the Lakers' latest package is enough to get it done.
the Knicks give Porzingis a kick on the way out, and Jared Greenberg joins us before Game Night Monday on NBA TV.
And who needs Manu Ginobili when you've got the Spurs Coyote?
It's Monday, February 4th. The starter starts now.
Good evening, Sweet World, and welcome to The Starters, presented by Jack Daniel's Old No. 7 and Tennessee Honey. I'm J.E. Skeets, alongside me as always, Tass Mellis. We got the Aussie, Lee Ellis, and over yonder, well, that's the bearded one. That's Trey Kirby.
Hey-yo!
Hey-yo! Trey, what's up?
Well, I'm here at the internet looking for your best tweets at hashtag The Starters. And guys, last week, the Spurs had 5 bats loose in the AT&T Center for one of their games, and that's just too many bats. So the team put together a plan in case it happened again. That's right, they had a bat plan, and it worked perfectly.
Rudy Gay went running down to Zach Zarba and said, "Help me." The Spurs,
Here comes the Coyote.
and the
He's
Coyote,
ready this time.
he's ready to not get him.
Oh,
One more attempt. Yes.
oh, the Coyote got him. Go ahead and chow down, Coyote.
Oh, the Coyote, and the crowd is jacked.
I've watched this about 50 times since Saturday, and for my money, it is the greatest mascot moment of all time. But that brings us to today's question. What is the NBA's all-time greatest mascot moment? For instance, Skeets suggested the deflating raptor as his choice, coming down the hill, falls on the rollerblades, and down goes the tail. This is pretty good. But we want to hear from you, so let us know on Twitter, what is the NBA's all-time greatest mascot moment? Send us your best tweets to hashtag The Starters. We'll hear from you later.
All right, get those tweets in. On tonight's show, we're going to talk to Jared Greenberg, live from Brooklyn. We got a new batch of weekend whoopsies. We got a very solid play. But we start with a little Is This News? Trey, you got the headlines, my man.
That's right, our first headline comes from ESPN. The Lakers have offered an improved Anthony Davis package. Is this news? Yeah, baby.
Oh yeah, this is news. We've had a lot of Anthony Davis news, it feels like, over the last 48 hours or so.
Last 2 weeks,
Yeah,
it seems like.
it's even ramping up even more. We had Anthony Davis Sr., his dad, saying he doesn't want his son to play in Boston. That was his opinion. We had a checklist sort of teams that Anthony Davis reportedly would maybe sign long-term with. That's out there. And we've had offers, 2 offers, by way of the Lakers. It started with what we're calling the underwhelming offer. I guess Woj originally called it that. It's the Fire Festival of packages. Yeah, Lonzo Ball, Kyle Kuzma,
cheese
Rondo
sandwiches.
Beasley, and a first-round pick. Well, then today, after the LA Times reported, that the Pelicans wanted more, they wanted a counter, they wanted some more picks, I guess what we're calling it is the Godfather offer. Some are calling it the Godfather 3 offer because some people aren't all that high on it, but it makes a lot more sense at least. Ingram, Ball, Kuzma, Lance, and Rondo, and Beasley, 2 first-round picks, and then coming back would be sort of Anthony Davis and Solomon Hill, because they want to get off that that contract that's Hill signed when he signed that 4-year 48. So, a lot of news here. What do you make, I guess, really of this, the potential of this happening, that Godfather offer, again, with Solomon Hill going with AD back to the Lakers? You think this goes down, or are they going to wait?
They should wait.
They still should wait.
That trade will be there in the summer. It should be there. There isn't another plan for the Lakers to go get another superstar. Anthony Davis is their plan. And Pelicans should wait to see what the Boston Celtics can offer, because I'm still not pumped about this offer. It's about quality, not quantity. Basically, the Lakers would become the Pelicans without LeBron James. And that team, without LeBron James, is 6-12 this season. They haven't been good. Are those first picks enough to sell the Pelicans? Those picks aren't going to be all that great either. I still think the Celtics have a better package to offer. I would wait. I would call this the Godfather 3 package.
Yeah.
There's a lot of names. They're giving them the whole team. But this team was 6-12.
Yeah,
this team wasn't all that good.
Guys like Rondo and Beasley, obviously they're just throw-ins. They're not part of your future. Stevenson as well. So it's basically Ingram, Ball, Kuzma in those 2 picks. And whether or not even Ball and his family have already talked about not wanting to be in New Orleans, so they'd probably have to move on from him. But I agree, if Tatum is still available, if the Celtics have in some way inclined that they will move Jason Tatum, then you don't take this offer, you wait. Because Tatum might be available and also Zion might be available. You just don't know who's going to have that pick. If you're the Pelicans, there's no need to rush. There's no need to rush right now. The Lakers do need to rush because they want to make sure they get this offer in and accepted before it does get to summer. But this is basically the best they can offer. And if you're the Pelicans, I think you just go, you know what, we're going to wait and see what we can do in July.
Yeah, that is the truth. There's not much more that the Lakers could offer, right? I mean, Zubats could be thrown in there. Maybe some swap picks could be thrown in there as well. But there's really, those young guys. And look, the Pelicans reportedly want multiple young players. Check there with these guys if you believe in Ingram and Kuzma and
They're
Ball.
not old. They're definitely not old.
They want some picks, check again. They may not be the greatest, sexiest picks in the world, but check. And, there is that idea of they want to get Solomon Hill in there, the Pelicans do, a little more cap relief, so open up some more space. And, again, check, again, if this reported deal is true here. So I hear you with the waiting for Tatum, but the whole problem there is this report that Anthony Davis doesn't want to sign there long term.
Yeah.
And why is that getting out there? Now, is that AD's, agent leaking that out there and saying that's the plan, or is that just that he doesn't want to go there? That sort of muddles it a little bit with the whole waiting game approach. But you still think, well, who cares?
Yeah.
The Lakers are still going to have these guys, and they're still going to want to offer them up for Anthony Davis.
I would think so.
Yeah.
And Boston is going to be there in June. I don't think they're going to be scared off by the fact that Anthony Davis reportedly wouldn't sign there. They've got the Tatum factor. I believe has better star potential than any of those Lakers, and they have the picks factor because they own picks besides their own picks.
Right.
They've got the Grizzlies pick. They've got the Clippers pick, which could be a lot better. I don't think there's any reason for Dell Demps to pull the trigger now. And as you mentioned, we'll see who gets the number one pick because maybe you can turn Anthony Davis into the number one pick. It's premature. I think you'd be making a mistake to make this deal now. And I know we've been the ones talking up Ben Simmons as a possibility. I think that is a better option than even some of these Lakers.
Like
it's about quality in this league. You don't want to be a team that's sort of an also-ran like the Lakers have been. Yeah, maybe Ingram and Kuzma and those guys can turn it on, but they haven't been great.
Yeah.
And Ben Simmons, again, if he's available, who knows? And Jason Tatum, I think, have more star potential.
All right, Trey, next headline.
Mark me down for AD to the Lakers, by the way. Our next headline comes from Larry Brown Sports, not that Larry Brown. It reads, Knicks use TV graphic to justify Kristaps Porzingis trade. Is this news?
This is bad news for the Knicks. They look like a very petty organization because Kristaps got traded and then they go and put this up in the first game that he's out of New York.
So what do you hate about this?
Well, I hate two things. First of all, okay, they say where he was drafted in his first season, and then they start getting nasty here. Skipped his exit meeting with front office, okay, petty. And then the second part here,
Facts, though.
not inaccurate, but you don't need to put that in
Okay,
there.
fair.
And then the part at the bottom there saying played 186 of possible 296 games, right under where he tore his ACL. I mean, what they're saying is, this guy wasn't all that special. He didn't even want to be here, so we got rid of him. But hey, congratulations, good luck on your move. They're trying to make out as if they're doing the right thing by saying, like everyone's giving a tribute video right now. They're trying to show him in that light. Instead, they're just taking two cheap snipes at him and making themselves look bad. They just did not need to do that.
Yeah, I think this is news to every other free agent in the league that the Knicks remain the Knicks, that it is dirty, it is cheap. And yes, it is a fact he missed his exit interview, but where are all the other facts? What about his work in the community? I mean, they picked this narrative to make it look like they made a good move. And really, it's just a little, hey, Kristaps, turn around, I'm going to stab you in the number 6 on the way out. It's just not, it's not right. It shouldn't be done. And again, free agents see this kind of stuff. I mean, they have to realize, they understand that the organization remains that organization, the same organization that Kristaps didn't like. Just take the high road. Just say, yeah, we drafted him here. Yeah, he was an all-star. Goodbye.
Okay.
That's it.
You could say the same for Porzingis, though, on his way out here, too, when he got traded to the Mavericks. I wouldn't say he's taking the high road either. He just keeps, blasting, Snapchats or Instagram stories saying, we'll find out, stay woke, you're going to learn what really happened. They're both sort of going back and forth here at each other in different ways, one through social media, one through this graphic network.
I think... sure. First of all, it's a players' league. They can do what they want. Second, the story will come out as a little different than Phil Jackson's a jerk. I mean, that is just that's dirty.
Yeah.
Then stay woke is a little different than this guy. He wasn't good.
What did
he went to the bathroom once during a game.
What do the Knicks gain out of this? How does that in any way reflect well on the organization? It doesn't.
No, it's a mess. It's supposed to be a message to their fans saying this guy didn't want to be here.
Right. And the reason he skipped the exit interview in the first place is because he didn't like the direction of the franchise. And here we are nearly 2 years later. And he's like, well, I was justified in skipping. I mean, they've won 10 or 11 games, whatever it is. And the things have gotten worse. So he doesn't want to be a part of that.
Right. The real story within it all is how did they get to that point where Porzingis wanted out and all the things that led up to that. Then he wants out, and then the Knicks are like, well, we got to move him. He doesn't want to be here. He's not going to sign long-term, so let's make this move. And they get a bunch of picks and Dennis and so on. But, yeah, it's how you got to that situation where your future star player, like within 4 years, like, get me out of here.
Yeah.
That's the Knicks part of it all.
They have a track record, right? This isn't Kristaps Porzingis just being immature and missing his exit interview. The second part of it is that there have been a lot of players that have struggled with the Knicks organization. It's
Right.
become commonplace. It's not just Kristaps.
They might win another worst of the year.
I was wondering, why do you keep looking up there? What are you looking up there
I was just
at?
checking that they did win it. I
Yeah, they
forgot.
did. Yeah,
So
get
that
a
was
shot
it.
at
It
it.
was
The
the
Knicks got worse.
Kristaps year.
Yeah,
It was
there.
the Phil Jackson year.
I saw Lee like 5 times while you were talking,
Well, I've
Tess, like
forgotten,
looking
you
up,
know?
looking
Yeah.
up, looking up. All right, final headline here, Trey.
The Knicks are happy to get a banner anytime they can. Our final headline is from Clutch Points by way of the New York Post, and it says, Wes Matthews is more likely to be traded by the Knicks than DeAndre Jordan is. Is this news?
They should trade them both. They should start the rebuild now.
You think they're going to be able to trade Wesley Matthews?
Why not?
Is someone actually going to give up an asset to try and get him back? I don't
think
think
so.
so. I think it's more likely he does eventually get bought out, and that's fair, and then gets to sort of pick the team of his choosing to go to. And he's going to be wanted. I get
Rodney
that.
Hood just got dealt for a couple second-round picks.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, listen, when
I would.
Wesley's knocking down those threes, he's valuable. And we saw last year with the Sixers when they got Ilyasova and Bellinelli at the trade deadline. They were really important for that team. And Wesley can be that guy, for sure. Maybe in Philadelphia. They've missed those guys this season. So I think teams will want him. It's just whether or not they are prepared to give up. No one's giving up a first-round pick, but throw a couple of seconds in there. You might be able to grab him. He can make a difference if he's in that right situation and he's knocking down those threes. If he's not knocking down the threes, doesn't give you a whole lot else, though.
And DeAndre Jordan should be dealt as well. I don't understand this idea of, we're going to get some superstars in the offseason. He could be the center that matches up with our superstars.
He's Durant's buddy, though. He's
Yeah.
Durant's buddy.
He needs to be on a championship team.
He's going to be a mentor, Tass.
Right, exactly. He needs to be on a championship team to be giving 100% effort. We want to see that from DeAndre Jordan again.
Where's the fit, though, right now for those teams? That's the question is, like,
Where's the center for him? Well,
And you liked Wesley Matthews, you were saying last week, eventually ending up on the Warriors. You still believe that?
I mean, the Sixers is the perfect. The Warriors don't need another guy, do they?
No, they don't. They absolutely don't. Let's hear from you guys. Was any of that news? When we come back, though, Jared Greenberg joins us live from Brooklyn about when we can expect the Knicks to have Karis LeVert back and a whole lot more. Don't go anywhere.
The Starters is presented by Jack Daniel's Old No. 7 and Tennessee Honey.
Tonight on NBA TV, it's Game Night Monday. We got Bucks versus Nets, followed by the Spurs versus Kings. We actually have a special guest analysis, Jason Kidd, here in studio. But joining us now, live from Brooklyn, it's Jared Greenberg. Yes, it's been so long since we've had the Greenberg theme song. Jared, how's it going, buddy?
Woo! Well, it feels good to be in New York City.
I love it. Look, we got a lot to ask you. Woj today, sort of out of nowhere, he reported that Nets guard Karis LeVert is returning to full 5-on-5 practice, and there's some optimism that he could be back before the All-Star break. You're there in Brooklyn. You're on the scene. What do we know about this possibility of LeVert maybe returning, and what impact could that have on the Nets' sort of playoff push here?
Here's the breaking news. Woj is not wrong on this one here, fellas. I have learned that in fact, confirmed what the Woj report is that Karis LeVert is going to get back to practice. He started getting back on with the team. He'll be with the G League team practicing with them, who in fact had a game earlier today on this court. And while there won't be a date set yet for an expectation for Karis LeVert to return from the dislocated ankle, they are hopeful, it does appear, that he will return relatively soon, which is quite amazing because this run that this Nets team has gone on, with all of the injuries, none has been more severe of Karis LeVert, who is arguably the team's best player.
That's exactly right. Yeah, this was, again, a bit shocking, but this would be a huge news for the Nets fans to get this guy back. Speaking of the Nets, we learned last week that D'Angelo Russell is going to be an all-star. He's replacing the injured Victor Oladipo. You had a chance to talk to Russell earlier today. How excited is this kid to be making his first all-star game? And what about just the Nets sort of franchise in general to have a representative down there in Charlotte this year?
Yeah, I think that the impression I got from D'Angelo Russell was one of really being humbled by the honor. that the commissioner would pick him and that his name was floated around in terms of the coaches potentially selecting him as a reserve. But I think that he recognizes, and it's been a long road to get to this point for D'Angelo Russell with all that he has been through, a lot self-inflicted, that, you know, winning is the most important thing. And these numbers that he's putting up, yes, they're all-star worthy, but because the Nets are in the playoff mix, if he were to be putting up these same numbers or better numbers, and the Nets were on the outside looking in, I don't think anybody would believe that he would be an all-star.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right about that. Finally, before we let you go, let's talk a little bit about the Bucks taking on the Nets there in Brooklyn tonight. They've won 9 of their last 10. They had a nice quality win against the Raptors on Thursday night. Are the Bucks the favorite right now, in your opinion, to come out of the Eastern Conference here, and should they be?
Well, let me tell you this here. I spoke to Chris Middleton, who will air on 10 Before Tip coming up in a bit as well, and he said, you know, it's really wild to be on this team this year, considering just a couple of years ago, he and Giannis were on that team that won just 15 games and was the worst team in basketball that particular year. So the short turnaround, I mean, it's not all that different from what the Nets have gone through over the last 4 or 5 years as well in terms of trying to rebuild their franchise. The difference with Bucks is that they've got a guy who is arguably one of the top 5 players in the league and certainly right up there at the top of the MVP conversation, in Giannis Antetokounmpo. I'm a big believer, guys. I know we've talked a lot about this with the Raptors over the last few years of building on your success and tasting that defeat, and that ultimately is what helps you get better. I think this Buck team might be a year ahead of its time, and there are some teams like Toronto, like Boston, who even though they're lower down in the standings right now, have that veteran leadership that's been through it and tasted what it's like to lose the playoffs, that I would still lean towards Toronto or Boston right now.
Yeah, we will see. All right, Jared, enjoy the game tonight, and we'll catch you on 10 Before Tip coming up right after the starters, man.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Take care, buddy. When we come back, we got a brand new batch of Weekend Whoopsies, always delivering over the weekend. The hoops and the bloops, don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the starters, where it's time for some Weekend Whoopsies, the hoops and the bloops.
A fantastic week for Whoopsies. The Kiss Cam at Madison Square Garden got a little wet. A lot wet. Extremely wet. Listen, they dedicated themselves to the bit.
They had a room.
They won $500 to a hotel.
Worth it.
Yep.
Incredible. An awesome in-sync stretching moment here from Jeremy Grant and Steven Adams getting
My
loose.
side's not feeling it really there, I don't think.
For the game.
At the Nuggets game, this fan had the largest dessert ever at an NBA arena. Look at that
There's
thing.
4 minutes to go in the game, and he's got all that.
Straight up pieces of cheesecake as a topping.
Yeah.
How's that possible?
Maybe he won that too and didn't want it.
Maxi Kleba recently tweeted out a pic of him wearing a I Am Not Luka t-shirt because a lot of people get the two confused. The Mavs broadcast wanted to help Maxi out, sharing this helpful side-by-side. But you know who does look like Luka? This dude sitting courtside in Cleveland.
Luka! We're twins! We're twins!
They do look alike.
Yeah, not bad.
The Bats, excuse me, Dwight Powell. The terrible passer.
Maybe he thought the other guy was Luka. Passing to him.
It's passing to us.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dwight.
Bobby Portis must be a Jughead fan because he accidentally pops Archie right in the nose here. Boom. Fighting for a rebound. It's his own teammate.
Oh, that's Bobby's move.
Go, Ryan.
Was that Nikola Mirotic right there?
That mean Diakono's getting traded soon?
The Bats were loose in the AT&T Center. It's been happening a heck of a lot recently.
Yeah, what's going on with all these bats?
Oh boy.
Just a bit.
Here comes Coyote the mascot.
Get it.
Go get it.
Even Pop enjoyed that.
Wow, well done.
It's pumped.
So good.
Giannis can do it all, except maybe hit the 3 ball. Yeah, bad air ball there. Watch Bradley Beal, though, his reaction to the air ball. He's going to do the very sarcastic flinch. Whoop. Al Horford.
Hey, Ennis, you're in the game. Ennis Cantor thought he was being called, but Knicks coaches were calling Dennis Smith Jr., not Ennis. So Ennis had to go back to his seat, poor guy. It's Dennis's first game with the Knicks.
That would be confusing.
Yeah.
Confusing. Ennis and Dennis. After the Raptors won on Sunday, Serge Ibaka was asked for his prediction on the other big game.
You have a pick for me for the Super Bowl, Serge?
You know what? I don't really know a lot about football, but hey, go Raptor.
Raptors always win on Super Bowl Sunday, always.
When we come back, Lely's very solid play. Over the weekend, the Blazers acquired Cavs forward Rodney Hood. Blazers sending back 2 second-round picks, one in 2021, one in 2023, along with the expiring contracts of Nick Stauskas and Wade Baldwin IV. Hood had to agree to this trade because he signed that one-year offer last summer with Cleveland, which did grant him veto rights, but wants to go play for a contender.
Hopefully he gets his Utah mojo back.
Yeah, we will see. All right, tonight, Game Night Monday, Bucks Nets, Spurs Kings. Nothing wrong with that. We asked you, though, earlier in the show, what's the all-time greatest mascot moment? Trey, you got some answers.
Yeah, some good answers. Kevin says the Aaron Gordon dunks in the All-Star contest with Stuff the Magic Dragon.
Good.
That's great. Not bad. Like this from Jared, who says, just Google Robin Lopez versus NBA mascots. Can't pick just one. We had a whole bunch of Benny the Bull suggestions, but my favorite was this from Zach, who says, Skeets and Tess chasing after Benny the Bull. Roll that footage!
Oh, yeah, that was the thing that happened.
Oh, the brownies are out, ladies and gentlemen.
Like Adam Levine.
You guys need some bad tattoos.
Ahead of our time. We did eventually catch him, didn't we? I think.
Yeah, track him down, the spirit animal.
Right.
We'll meet up in the sauna, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that somehow got weirder, that clip. All right, tonight's game, it's on Game Night Monday. It's the second game, as I told you. Spurs and Kings. I'm the only one taking Sacktown at home. Everybody else has the Spurs on the road. Lely,
Yes.
you will be paying off your January pick'em loss
Right.
at the end of the week.
Okay.
This Friday, okay? 6
Friday.
p.m. Eastern. Yep, we got something in mind. And you'll, again, pay off that January pick'em loss. Let's get to VSP.
Yeah, only 3 games on yesterday, but we still got this one from the Knicks, believe it or not. Haven't seen a whole lot of this from them this year, but hey, ball was fizzing around MSG. Goes to Damian Dodson over to Kevin for 3, who knocks it down. That's what I call a very solid play. And pun.
We'll fire some puns, I'm sure, on tomorrow's Drop Podcasts. Keep your eyes and your ears ready for that one. Talking Anthony Davis trade rumors. Maybe he's traded by the time we record this thing. Lots to talk about, of course, in the association as we build up to the trade deadline. We got a fan sign, Lee.
We sure do, and it is the serial sign Cinderella. He has returned, and this is his first game since you called him out. He's got the starters are rad. You'd like that.
It's the greatest movie of all time. Rad. Great sign. We'll see you guys tomorrow night. Brace the night, people.